What up, people? Welcome to the Doing Everything Different podcast. I'm your host, Devin Lars, and we are back. I missed 2 episodes, 2 weeks, and it's funny because when we started this, I said that I would never miss a Monday, and I was very adamant about it. I think we did 36 weeks, I think, straight. And then, life happens. Things come up. I took a little break and went on a cruise, which I said I would never do ever in my life. And it was one of the best experiences I could have done. And I decided to just kind of take a break and regroup from the podcast. And so, we're back. I'm excited to, have we got some really good guests lined up. And we are going to, again, keep trying to elevate, keep trying to take this to the next level, and keep trying to bring as much value as possible. And I think that one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was around sacrifice and consistency. And I think that a lot of times we get caught up on things having to be perfect, right? Like I had this idea and this notion of like, I can never miss a Monday. If I miss a Monday, then it's just a wrap and it's going to be over and I'm going to fall off, right? Because that's kind of how I used to do things in the past. Like I would be so obsessive over stuff where I'm like, I have to do this stuff. And if there's any type of gap or anything that like messes up in between it, it'll just throw me off and I'll just like forget everything that I did previously. And so what I'm learning as I'm starting to get older and getting more experience and just understanding how things work is things are going to ebb and flow, right? Things are going to come up, things are going to go down, things are going to come up, just life happens, right? And so I think where I'm focused on now is not so much of having it done perfect or doing it perfect, but more so of doing it to the best of my ability the majority of the time, right? So like if you miss 2 weeks on a podcast, okay, just pick it back up. Don't just think, okay, it's done. And then you just miss 3 weeks, 4 weeks, all that stuff. And so, I'm trying to have more patience with myself and understand that life is really a marathon, right? It's not like a sprint. And so, it's been cool. Just kind of this last year, 2024 has been a really big year for me in terms of just personal growth, in terms of like understanding the stuff that got me to where I am isn't going to get me to where I want to go. I think that's something big. We oftentimes do something to get us to where we are, but then if we want to go to the next level of our life, we realize that like you have to become a different version of yourself. I posted something recently. It was a repost of something I posted a while ago that said every next level of your life will demand a different version of you. And I think it's very true. As you start to evolve and as you start to change and grow, you start to develop these different skill sets, these different mindsets, these different ways of how you operate and do things, and you evolve and become better. But what I think is so fascinating, I was talking to my mentor yesterday, and we were talking about how you always end up kind of coming back to where you started from. And I think it reminds me of the book, The Alchemist. And if you guys haven't read The Alchemist or listened to the audiobook, whatever, I suggest that you do it. But it's just about this person going on trying to find his personal legend, right? His journey of life. And it takes him around this full kind of experience just to come right back to where he started from and realize that everything that he needed was right there the entire time. You just needed to kind of go through these different experiences to develop these tools and these outlooks of life to then realize I don't have to go searching for anything. Everything that I need is right here. I have all of the tools that I need. It's just about cultivating them. It's about getting these experiences. It's about understanding how to work with your skills and your unique talents and things of that nature. And I think it's just so fascinating to me of just like we always go, humans just tend to think that you have to go other places to kind of get what you need, when in reality it's right here in front of you and you just have to understand and see it. And you have to understand to be able to see and read those signs. and to be able to like identify, different opportunities and stuff like that. And so I just think consistency is so important as you start to, move forward in career, in life, in relationships, in friendships. I think that there's so much that, again, there's so much that I've been learning over these past months, um, just around how to operate and how things work. Even the importance of like sacrifice. When I started my business when I was 17 in high school, and that was in 2005, which is crazy because time just moves by like super fast. But I just remember sacrificing all of my 20s to the business. I mean, I didn't go out, I didn't have fun, I didn't like really have a lot of friends. I was just like locked into the mode of working. And I'm not saying that that's the most healthy way of doing it, because as I started to go through therapy, as I started to kind of realize what a lot of those triggers were, my grandfather, who was like my like a father to me, who I was living with, who helped me like kind of start the business when I first started in his house, he passed away and had a heart attack in my arms and died at the house. Like literally went from 5 minutes talking to him, everything is fine, to the next 5 minutes he passed away and he was gone. It literally took his last breaths in my arms. And I was 21, and it was a very traumatic experience to be able to see this person that you look at as a hero, that is the strongest person that you know, be scared. He was on the floor. He was rolling around and kind of, scared of what was going on. And so just to see it, it really messed me up. And I think what it did for me was it made me realize that life is short and you never know what's going to happen. And so I remember at that young age, I was telling myself, if I want to do something in this life, if I want to be somebody, if I want to build something, I need to do it now, and I don't have any time to waste. And I always say that like that event grew me up 10 years. Um, and so I just got into this really focused, really like determined space in my life, this very anxious space in my life, that I'm like, okay, I have to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish in life, because it could be over in the next minute. And so I remember I kind of felt like even guilty to have fun, right? I felt like I needed to be working, I needed to be grinding, I needed to be, being productive. And when I wasn't productive, I felt bad. I felt guilty. I was like, I shouldn't be having fun. I shouldn't be, resting. I need to be working. And a lot of that, I look back at everything. I think everything that we go through in life builds the character and builds all these things. Again, like I was saying in the beginning, all these tools that you need, that you're going to need later on. So all of the challenges that you go through, all of the struggles that you're going through, your childhood, all of that stuff, I really, truly believe that is building the character that's needed for you to accomplish whatever it is that you're here in this life for. And so I think looking back, it was one of the best things that could have happened to me, with my grandfather passing away, because, it was a special moment. He knows I was there. I was with him when he took his last breaths, and it was something that, I'll forever hold that. And it gave me this sense of resilience, and it gave me this sense of, even in the business, right? So like when things went wrong in the business, I didn't really trip off of it, because I'm comparing it to my grandfather passing away, right? So I'm like, these little things of losing an account, or owing some money in taxes, or order going wrong, like in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter, because I've went through this like ultimate pain of losing somebody permanently that I loved. And so I think again, looking back at all these things of like keeping things in perspective is super important. But what I've learned, again, as I've kind of worked through a lot of those emotions, a lot of that anxiety, a lot of the feelings that I just kind of suppressed from him passing away, I would just kind of ignore the emotions and the feelings, and I would just dive like right into work and kind of distract myself. And I realized as I started to work through those things, I realized that yes, you never know what's going to happen and what's around the corner with life. And you do have to um, move with a sense of urgency. But then what I also realized is like, you also need to enjoy and live life and not feel guilty for taking a break or resetting or, um, stepping away to make sure that you as a person is good mentally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever, physically, all this stuff is super important. And so, yeah, it's just been what I've been realizing is there's power in sacrificing, but then there's also this like balance of making sure that when you're sacrificing this stuff, you're also taking care of yourself. And that's what I'm learning, that how I'm kind of moving on to this next phase of life is really just keeping that balance and making sure that I'm doing things for me, because you don't know what's around the corner. Just like, my grandfather passing away, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's like, do you want to spend your whole life working and grinding and doing that and not, experiencing life as well? And so I'm really looking at the balance of that stuff, really, really really understanding the importance of community as well and building community. I think it's so important to have people around you that inspire you, that you look up to, that you can learn from. They talk about how iron sharpens iron. And if you're not hanging around people that's pushing you to grow and it's helping you level up, then it's going to be challenging to continuously move forward in life and to progress. And I think I'm very thankful for this season of life that I'm in. I've been able to build a really powerful community in a short amount of time. Um, you know, I went on a cruise with my homie Neo. It was his 37th birthday, and about 20 people that I had never met before, and we all kind of went on this cruise. A lot of us didn't like kind of know each other, but we had this like just really dope bonding time when we went on this cruise, and it was just really deep conversations about life, relationships, integrity, business. It was very, very dope and much needed. And I feel like I came back stronger from that because of all of the conversations in the community, and to be able to understand of like, oh, cool, you got people that are like on the same or similar journeys and paths, and just to be able to have those conversations and to be able to be vulnerable and share stuff. It was such a dope experience. Then after that, I was supposed to come home, but then I ended up going to Atlanta for Neo's official birthday party. And there was a bunch of events and meetings and stuff I had in Atlanta. And which is why I missed 2 weeks. But it was just a dope experience. It was something that I really needed, that really showed me the power and the importance of making time to cultivate community. I never valued it before when I was working and I was just like head down, just trying to get my stuff done. And I think you need a season of that, right? Like I really do think, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have those 10 plus years of just grinding and not having fun and sacrificing. I think that, when I first started, my mentor told me, are you willing to go through 10 years of hell to, after 10 years, have all your craziest dreams come true? And I said, let's do it. And he knew something was wrong with me and I was off. For anybody to say, let's do it, sacrificing 10 years, in your early 20s, when all your friends are out partying and, doing all this stuff, takes a different type of mindset. And so, I think especially for the young folks listening to this, if you are in your early 20s or, about to be in your 20s, understanding that your 20s should be about learning. It should be about understanding what you're good at. It should be finding out and exploring what you like. Because I think in your 30s is something that you're able to kind of get that decade of experience in your 20s, and then you're able to apply it in your 30s. Because what I've seen a lot of people do is they end up partying in their 20s, right? And kind of not figuring it out, having fun, doing all these different things. And then by the time they get to their 30s, they're like, oh, shoot, like, damn, what am I doing? I got to figure it out. So now they're figuring it out in their 30s, which is not as easy to do than it was in your 20s, because now you start getting responsibilities, you start getting into relationships, having kids, things change. And so I'm just very thankful that I was able to sacrifice in my 20s to do all that stuff to now be in my 30s and to be able to really live out my craziest dreams of everything that I dreamt of when I was, first starting. And so I think, again, to the young folks that are listening to this, just understand that don't believe everything that you see on social media. A lot of the stuff is people are showing you their highlight reel. They're not showing you the behind the scenes. So a lot of times people are, you know, we had Facebook and MySpace back then, so it wasn't like how it is now with Instagram, TikTok. So you're seeing all these crazy, people living their crazy dreams and this, and this, and they're like 19, having cars and this, and you may be comparing yourself to that. But just understand, like, one thing my mentor told me when I was coming up is that each person's success is tailor made for them. So your journey is going to look different than anybody else's. So you can't compare your life to other people's lives and what they have going on. You have to understand that you're running your race, and you have to understand that sometimes it's going to take longer for things to come together. LaRussell was talking about this. He's a rapper or whatever, and he was talking about how, climbing up a mountain next to somebody, and you see somebody reach their peak, and it's like you're still climbing, and you're realizing, like, why haven't I reached my peak yet? But your journey is longer. Where you're going is higher. And so you have to understand that, like, sometimes it's going to take you longer to get there, and you're going to see other people peak early, but it's like you need to understand and trust the process that, okay, I'm running my own race and I'm going where I need to be. And that goes for anybody in whatever age, but I just think specifically to, folks in their 20s, early 20s, understanding that, because I think it's something that is needed. Like, I know it feels like you need to have everything figured out right now. I know it feels like you need to, have all of these things, but trust me, like, it is a process. And as long as you keep living, you're going to get to your 30s, you're going to get to your 40s, you're going to get to your 50s. And so you just have to understand that how are you going to show up when you get there? And building those tools and those resources to be able to say, okay, let me find out what I'm good at. Let me see what this looks like. Let me sacrifice this time. I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my 20s was not doing things for money, doing things for what I was going to learn and who I was going to meet. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in, like, okay, we need to make money. I need to get paid for this. When I think that's the completely wrong approach, especially in your 20s, because you need to be learning, building relationships with people, and understanding what you're actually good at, because that knowledge is going to go way further than the short-term dollar, right? The short-term dollar is going to get spent and you're not going to have anything to show for. But what you're becoming, who you're meeting, and what you're learning is stuff that they can't take away from you. And so in my 20s, that was a big part of what I did. Is I just said, I want to learn. I want to build up this knowledge. I'm not worrying about the money right now. The money will come, and I think that, yeah, just sacrificing that stuff and understanding that it is all a part of a process, and it's something that it all comes together if you keep going. My mentor always said, head down, feet on the ground. Head down, feet on the ground. He's told me that since day one. And that just means be humble, work, and provide value. He always says, I'm absolutely nobody. Right. And I think what's so interesting, my mentor is one of the most confident people I know, but he doesn't have to tell you he's confident. He's just, he provides value. He helps people. He looks after people. And I think it's just the ultimate level of confidence. When somebody has to always tell you what they got and who they are and show you things and do all this stuff, it's like, there's really insecurity versus, like, being able to just say, I don't need the praise. I don't need, the acknowledgement. I'm just going to show up and provide value. That's the ultimate level of confidence. And so it was something that was very important and instilled in me early, of just, like, head down, feet on the ground, and just provide value. And I think that those are some things that can elevate your life and can help you move to the next level. And so, yeah, so those are just things that I've been thinking about, reflecting on. And yeah, hopefully you got some value from this, from my experiences. And I'm really excited about being able to do more documentation, to be able to do more showing the behind the scenes, showing the process on social media, what we're doing, kind of breaking down why we do certain things and the philosophy behind it. Because I think it's cool to sit down here and talk and to explain these kind of ideas and philosophies. But on social, I'm really trying to showcase the situation and then break it down in real time of like how we got there. And so I'm trying to figure out a better way to storytell and to be able to articulate these different things and again, provide value to folks trying to build something and turn a vision into reality. So hope you guys are well. I appreciate all of the support for the podcast, all the support for the content. I'm excited to be back and continue this podcast. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Talk to y'all in a minute. Peace.